Good morning, everybody. This is Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. It's September 11th, 2020. 19 years ago today was a 911, and I think we all remember, where we was at and what was going on that life-changing day, or the world changed on that day, and there was before and after for sure. Here's a theory that you probably haven't heard, and I think it's interesting if nothing else, and connects back to the Midland and the crimes here. And so I did some research, and I'm gonna show you a Facebook post I did this morning, and Google here. I found this story from American Free Press that was posted in 2011, and I named my Facebook post "The Biggest Gold Heist in History." Okay, and so basically, this story was saying in 2011, a corn dealership, they ran an ad for this coin that was clad in silver. They said it recovered from the vaults beneath the ashes of Ground Zero. Okay, and so then this New York Police Department captain, Tom DePrisco, he tells the New York Daily News in late January, he says that's pure bullshit. He says in the aftermath of the devastating attacks, he was assigned to the Office of Emergency Management to assist in recovering precious metals buried in a two-story vault beneath the rubble of the World Trade Center Building 4, and transfer it to another vault in the Brooklyn Naval Yard world. Okay. He said the operation began October 16th, 2001, lasted for 2 days. He says he reminisces about the moment he walked in the vault. It was lined with gold, silver, and platinum bars, $500 million worth. And it says, we never recovered any other precious metals. So it boils my blood that anyone would sell a fake coin claiming to be made with silver recovered from Ground Zero. He says, to this day, only 230 million has officially been accounted for. All of that was retrieved from the previously mentioned two-level, 6,000 square foot vault maintained by the Bank of Nova Scotia. They reportedly lost 200 million in gold as a result of the attacks. However, other estimates suggest there is an additional 750 million precious metals that were stored in the vaults. Okay? And so the video that I posted here, I put the link, of course, to that news story, which y'all can find online. And the video was a clip from the famous loose change video right here.
First, we have Larry Silverstein, the man who purchased the World Trade Center in July 2001. After September 11th, Silverstein demanded $7.2 billion from his insurers, claiming that each plane counted as a separate act of terrorism. However, on December 6, 2004, the courts only reward him with $2.2 billion. Next, we have the put options that were placed on United Airlines, American Airlines, and Boeing. According to the San Francisco Chronicle, more than $2.5 million has remained unclaimed. As for 9/11 itself, Reuters reported that Convar, a German computer company, is responsible for helping companies and accountants in New York restore their data from over 400 hard drives that were recovered from the World Trade Center's rubble. Convar recovered information from 32 different computers that suggested insider trading took place on 9/11. Richard Wagner, an expert at Convar, there is a suspicion that some people had advanced knowledge of the approximate time of the plane crashes in order to move out amounts exceeding $100 million. They thought that the records of their transactions could not be traced after the mainframes were destroyed. After their analysis, Convar handed the results over to the FBI. Although the FBI was legally bound to investigate who was responsible, to date they have done no such thing. Moving on. According to Wikipedia, one of the world's largest gold depositories was stored underneath the World Trade Center. In 1993, the value of the gold was estimated at $1 billion, rumored to be owned by Kuwaiti interests. When the World Trade Center was destroyed, the amount of gold far exceeded the 1993 levels. The gold was finally recovered in its entirety in late 2001. Or was it? On November 1st, 2001, the Times Online reported that a large amount of gold was discovered in the wreckage of the World Trade Center. Mayor Rudolph Giuliani announced that more than $230 million was recovered from Ground Zero. However, the COMEX Metals Trading Division was storing gold bars for the Bank of Nova Scotia, Chase Manhattan Bank, Bank of New York, Hong Kong, and Shanghai Banking, totaling $950 million. And that's just one company. Rumor has it that over $160 billion in gold was stored in the World Trade Center. So where did all the gold go?
And
remember the gold that was found in November?
And that's an interesting question. Where did the gold go? Okay, and so that video clip once again is from Loose Change. I'm gonna have a link there. Over 1 billion people have seen that video. Okay, I'm on here. I'll just go down to my comments and that'll explain this. Okay. Midland is the hometown of the Bushes. That's where I'm at here in Midland, where the underground homes are here, the $1 million underground homes. Midland is the hometown of the Bushes, and a woman on Facebook asked, what if the 911 gold is stored below your home? That was an interesting theory. George Bush Jr. had just been elected president when that happened. Actually, when his last day of office, he flew from Washington to Midland, Texas. This is a real famous now because I believe it was found in one of Epstein's mansions, and it's a picture of George Bush, cartoon picture, with holding a plane and then a box, and I'm sure it's a reference to the World Trade Center. That many people have wondered if our president George Bush was involved in the 911. And so the next comment here, a CAD programmer from Houston told me that she worked on this underground project, which was called Safe Houses, and was finished in 1987 at a cost of $7.35 million. And she told me that she thought the Bushes were behind the installation, and George Bush Sr. was vice president back then in the 80s. I asked her if she had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and she said, oh, I had to sign more stuff for that job than any other. This was a print screen I took from Layla, and here she says 7.35, and I said miles. She said million on permit. I said the cost of permit. She says it used to be called Safe Houses, and remember, this is the hometown of the Bushes, okay, and so that actually corroborated what other people had told me. I recorded this woman here on the phone. I recorded another woman who gave me specific details on these underground homes. She said there were 4 3-bedroom underground homes buried at least 25 foot deep, and they cost over $1 million each. I wondered if they didn't put some ground radar deflecting material on top of them, and that's why I've had so many suspects suggest radar or GPR. That confirmed what Layla told me. She said that they were having pedophile parties down there, and I now suspect it's been the location of the famous and wild parties that are held during the Permian Basin International Oil Show. My friend told me about a young girl being murdered at one of them in 2010, and the remains of a young girl were found outside of Midland in 2013. So
I asked them about the pizza parties. They said they're not called pizza parties, but I know what you're talking about.
Right, the pedophile parties.
Yes.
And then see, or a couple of weeks, you probably read all this before, but a couple of weeks after I got out of the hospital, that ex-wife comes by my home, and she says, you don't know how many lives you ruined with your idiocy. And of course, my idiocy was staying home and minding my own business. I'm shot inside my home. And but what she was saying was a lot of people were here, and they're going to have their lives ruined. And
do you know about how many feet that gun pushed through?
That
ground it was, because he said that these houses are 25 feet under, at least 25 exactly.
25 foot, that's deep, and $1 million, that's a confirmation that these are $1 million underground facilities. Okay. And so even more evidence than that, I took a screenshot of yet another woman named Rhonda Denman Rogers, who told me that an underground facility is a half block away. I was told there were 4 underground homes, and maybe this is one of them around the corner. There's a home which has a brick mortar problem like mine, and it also had a water well near an open area, just like in my backyard. And so I have a video finding the underground homes, and this home on Westmont Court here, 3800 Westmont, is whitewashed. That's because the brick mortar was messed up like mine, and the contractor told me it was from a foundation problem, which obviously means they dug under my home. That's what caused the foundation to be disturbed, broke the brick mortar. Well, that home had the same exact problem. Well, here a half block away, there's a big empty lot, and it also has a water well. Well, in my backyard, in my neighbor's backyard, right next to where it's believed there's an underground facility. In my backyard, there's a water well, and so maybe this lot holds one of the 4 homes. That don't mean that this guy that works for Concho Oil Company would know that, but that's a possibility. That's one of them. Wouldn't it be interesting if gold was down there? A previous resident of my home, Ricky Ronaldo, told me that him and his brother used to go in the tunnels under my home when they lived here, and so this is a Google Maps showing here, here I was shot right here. It's suspected the last homeowner died in this home. And then when you look back here, there's a secluded truck unloading lane. It'd be perfect to unload gold right there. You could truck in, trucks and take that gold underground right here, and nobody would see you. I mean, it's long suspected that sex trafficking, human trafficking was going on here, maybe even drug trafficking. This is the Midland Home Depot store here. And, for some reason, they cut the ground right here. It's aimed directly at my house. And, remember, somebody under my home shot me. And then here in the backyards where it's believed there's one of them underground homes, one of them $4 million underground homes. Further proof of these underground homes and tunnels came from the police report for the night I was ambushed and shot by somebody under my home in January 2012. This report was illegally withheld for 7 years, but when I finally got it in 2019, I noticed that it placed Midland police officer Lieutenant Dickey inside my home when he wasn't seen arriving on the security cameras that had just seen Woodward and Naylor arriving 4 minutes later. There was no other entries in my home. All the doors and windows was secured. That told me that Dickey came in from the now removed trap door, which the ex-wife had already told me about, and from where I had been ambushed and shot from. And so this is just part of the police report, which I consider as evidence because it timestamps Dickey in my house at 11:05. Here he is saying, "No one in the house. Lots of booby traps." And of course, there's no booby traps and evidence. That was a lie. So we already know he lied, right off the bat. And then other officers at my home were it was Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale, all at or in my home that were not seen arriving on this security camera that wasn't disabled until 11:22. Okay, but it did see me crawl out. It did see Woodward and Naylor show up, and that's who suspected that disabled this camera. But they were here before the camera was disabled, and so I believe that they have information on the tunnels and underground homes below this house. I don't think they teleported into my home, and so obviously they're suspects. When you look at it from above, then you can see how perfect of a location this would be to truck in the lost gold and unload it in the secluded trucking lane behind my home in the Home Depot store. This trucking lane is where it was suspected that human trafficking was going on when the last homeowner died, and then when I was ambushed and shot. And I believe most of that has been the human trafficking, I believe, is most of it is stopped, or because of these truckers, that used to come 24/7, stay a little bit and leave without unloading freight. Now, most of that stopped. Out front in the neighbors, or this is behind Home Depot, behind my house, there was an open manhole. I just made a video there this week where they have it flagged off and been digging there. Somebody has, and then here was a leftover piece of man-sized tunnel pipe in the neighbor's front yard that was sitting in this home. It's still there. If you drive by, you can see that sitting here. And so here's my home where I shot. So here's the alley, line of trees, secluded trucking lane, Home Depot store. When you back off, you can see, like if you're on Midland Drive down in here, you can't see behind. You can't see. It's secluded. It's secluded behind. And so it's a perfect place if you had a truckload of meth or drugs or weapons or money or illegals or whatever to smuggle and traffic right there. And and that was what I said, 50,000 foot view, perfect place to smuggle humans, drugs, etc. And that's an older map. Okay. I was told that the sister of Secret Service agent who works for George Bush lives across the street from my house. Interestingly, Bush Jr. was the landman here in Midland before he became president, and some other landmen are some of my top suspects because of their connection to the oil show parties. It's believed that a landman attorney named Matt Hyman died in my hallway 2 weeks before I was ambushed and shot. Two of his friends threatened me in a desperate attempt to stop me from asking questions, and they were both landmen. So that's what I'm saying. George Bush was a landman here in Midland, Texas, in the oil field, and so I'm thinking George Bush might know about these $1 million underground facilities that are hosting parties for international oil shows, and because there's several landmen that are on the suspect list. And and the thing about Matt Hyman, I've done videos about that. What I've really suspected is that Matt's friends that were with him saw him get electrocuted while trying to come in my bedroom, and because I had electricity on the doorknob, built a safe room to, trying to save my life that night. I think it did save my life, but they let him die because they could have called 911, got EMS here to save his life, but they didn't want to go to jail because they were involved in a home invasion, and they would have gone to prison, and so they sat there and let their friend die. That's what I believe. There has to be some big reason for the unprecedented obstruction of justice going on here. There's so much evidence that many people are losing trust in our police services and our justice system. Another woman calls me and she says, go to Google Maps, maps.google.com. You can do it on your phone or your computer, and look up my address, 3802 Fair Circle, Midland, Texas, and then you can switch between the map screen and the satellite screen, okay? The map screen or the block screen here, look at my backyard, and you see this large bunker there, or facility in my backyard. This is my home where I shot. That's where the last homeowner died the week before the 2008 oil show started, etc. Home Depot's back over here. It's a secluded trucking lane, alley, etc. Okay, but you switch over here to the satellite, it's not there. You switch back, it is there. You switch over, it's not there. And so that's where you're looking at that and you're going, well, that just shouldn't just, I don't think that's a coincidence, right? I'm suspecting that that's one of the 4 3-bedroom underground $1 million homes that I was told about by multiple people. And so there's a theory you can kick around, that maybe that explains the unprecedented obstruction of justice and lawlessness that is so well documented going on here in Midland, Texas, hometown of the Bushes.